Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Glenn Kuchar. I'm your host for this evening, and with me is Beth Rubin, who is signing this for the hearing impaired. Welcome to beautiful St. Peter's Field for the 24th Abbott Financial Management Old-Time Baseball game. Tonight's game is being played as a fundraiser for the John Martin Fund and the ALS Therapy Development Institute of Cambridge. And we're beginning the game by inviting the non-starters for the Andergeg Family Athletics and the Abbott Financial Management Angels to assemble in the infield. Could the non-starters please assemble in the infield? And we're now going to introduce the starting lineups for the team that will be the visiting team this evening, the Andergeg Athletics. Sponsored by the Intercity Baseball League, the coach is Rosario Azzarello. Sponsored by Patty's Lunch, which is a popular gathering place just around the corner on Walden Street, Coach Mike Powers. And sponsored by the South End Little League, Coach Owen Carlson. Leading off tonight, a proud Cambridge Ringe and Latin graduate now playing at UMass Dartmouth, sponsored by Anthony Galluccio and Galluccio Associates, shortstop Eric Ramirez. Batting second from Everett and Brown University, a former infielder with the Toronto Blue Jays organization, sponsored by the 2015 Montalbano Award recipient Josh Klimkowitz, third baseman Matt Nuzzo. Batting third and playing second base from Medford, formerly of St. Anselm's College, sponsored by the Andre Chiefs of the Intercity Baseball League, Johnny Welch. Batting fourth from Riverhead, New York and UMass Boston, sponsored by R.C. LaFond and Kurt and Mary Cerulli, center fielder Nick Herzog. Batting fifth and doing the catching from Atkinson, New Hampshire and Merrimack College, sponsored by Eastern Standard, which in addition to being our concessionaires at tonight's old-time baseball game, is a great place to grab a bite before or after tonight's game. Welcome Connor Such. Batting sixth and playing right field from Orleans and Tufts University, sponsored by Somerville Mayor Joe Curtatone, Will Shackelford. Batting seventh from North Andover and Cheshire Academy, sponsored by Polar Beverages, which has graciously provided the soft drinks being sold tonight, first baseman Joe Bramante. Batting eighth from Roslindale and UMass Dartmouth, sponsored by Cambridge Vice Mayor Mark McGovern, left fielder Irvin Kantarzik. And batting ninth and pitching from Quincy and Stony Brook University, he played in the Cape Cod League this summer and is sponsored by the Cape League, which donated all the bats for tonight's game. Please welcome left-handed starter Teddy Rodliff. And now the coaches and starting lineup for the Abbott Financial Management Angels, which will be the home team. From Duxbury, sponsored by Corsair Logistics, Redline Freight Systems, and the Finley family, Coach Dan Findley. From Newton, sponsored by John Greeley and Cheryl Cosmos, Coach James Greeley. And also from Newton, sponsored by Jose's Mexican Restaurant, just 2 minutes down the street and open after the game, is the game coach, Alex Lee. Leading off from North Andover and Northeastern, sponsored by Boston Red Sox chairman Tom Werner, shortstop Max Burt. Batting second and playing third base from Framingham and Sports Radio 93.7 WEEI, sponsored by Frank's Steakhouse, just a mile up the street and open until 10 o'clock. Former Red Sox infielder Lou Merlone. Now, batting third, the pitcher. This is a man who once said he used to sit under a mango tree in the Dominican Republic, dreaming that one day he'd play in the big leagues. But never in his wildest dreams did he believe one day he'd play in the old-time baseball game. Here he is, folks, sponsored by the Abbott Financial Management Angels, one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history, Hall of Famer Pedro Martinez. Batting fourth and playing first base from Williamsville, New York, and the Alibrandis Club of the Yawkey League, sponsored by Tony C's, just a block away from Fenway Park, Gordy Gronkowski. Batting fifth from Johnston, Rhode Island, and Boston College, sponsored by BC Public Address announcer Andy Jick, catcher John Martellini. Batting sixth and playing second base from Burlington, Connecticut, and Boston College, sponsored by the Boston Red Sox historian Gordon Eads, Anthony Maselli. Batting seventh from Duxbury and Northeastern University, sponsored by Cambridge City Council candidate Sean Tierney, center fielder Cam Walsh. Batting eighth from Cambridge and Merrimack College, the most valuable player of last year's old-time baseball game, sponsored by Cambridge Vice Mayor Mark McGovern, right fielder Cameron Monagle. And batting ninth from Boston and Tufts University, sponsored by Cambridge City Council candidate Paul Toner, center fielder Malcolm Nakmanoff. And also with us tonight, a regular guest of the game, Steve Volvin, dressed as Babe Ruth. The umpires for tonight's game. In his 11th year, crew chief Dave Tresca. In his 4th year, Scott Cassidy. In his 9th year, Brendan McCarthy. And umpiring his 21st All-Star old-time baseball game, Roger Morrison. Serving as head trainer tonight, from Suffolk University, Jeff Stone, and our bat boys, Jack Levine of Newton and Billy Pratis of Cambridge. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrew Noveline from the financial management team and old-time baseball game.
Thanks, Glenn. I'm here to introduce Mayor Denise Simmons, but before I do, I have to talk about what an amazing job the city of Cambridge has done as we prepared for this game. They made it clear from our first meeting in March that they would do whatever they could to make this a memorable event, and they have delivered and then some. Of course, it comes as no surprise to us because they've been doing it now for 24 years. Paul Ryder, Bob O'Loughlin, these guys helped start this thing way back then, and now that they're retired, they've passed it on, and others are carrying the torch. I'm going to mention a few names. Of course, Mayor Denise Simmons, City Manager Louis DePasquale, Adam Corbell, Steve LaRosa, Tom Cusick, John Nardone, Keith Fay, and his tireless crew that makes this field look as amazing as it does every year. They've been awesome from the get-go, and we hope you guys have a great night tonight. First, now I want to introduce Mayor Denise Simmons. Where is she? Oh, there.
Thank you. Hope I'm not messing up this white thing. I'm going to say good evening, and I want you guys to say great evening. Good evening. It is a great evening. I am so happy to be a part of the 24th annual Abbott Financial Management on Old Time baseball game. Give it up. Give it up. Come on, folks. I want some excitement. We are here with some very special guests, and we're here for a very special reason. You know, they say there's nothing better than, there's nothing more American than a baseball game on a nice summer night. But it's even better when that baseball game is in Cambridge, right? All right. One of the wonderful things about this event is that it celebrates a very long time history. It's bringing back baseball, but not only bringing back baseball, I love the old-time uniforms. It really reminds us of a bygone era, and it invites us to just remember the sheer love of the game. You know, this old-time baseball game is also particularly meaningful because it gives us an opportunity to donate to truly a worthy cause, a worthy and charitable endeavor. And the annual Financial Management old-time baseball game has, for almost a quarter of a century, been bringing us together in the spirit of summertime fun, but also doing a really good deed. You know, ALS is possibly and popularly linked to baseball because of one of the greatest players, and that was Lou Gehrig, who heroically and publicly battled the illness in the late 1930s. After spending an all-star career with the New York Yankees, and I do know this is the Red Sox nation. I got that, okay? We have had a decade-long rivalry between the two teams, but we're really holding up a tradition of gamemanship. And it's really also important to just rally around a common cause that touches us all. And what better way to unite us around stamping out ALS? Certainly, this event honors the spirit and example of Lou Gehrig, who used this battle to educate people about his disease, who raised awareness around the country, and who really spurred the first great push for research and a race for a cure. That research and race continues to raise funds, and eventually it'll make it possible for us to declare victory. Tonight is also very special because we have one of the all-time great pitchers, former Red Sox star and Baseball Hall of Famer, Pedro Martinez. Pedro is here to help us raise funds for the Cambridge-based ALS Therapy Development Institute and for the John Martin Fund. You know, Mr. Martin is a longtime videographer at NESN. Bravely and courageously, he has been battling ALS, and he is working hard to spread the word about the awareness and how we can wipe out the disease. And every year, we get a little bit closer with research, making great strides. Particularly, I'm sure everybody knows about the Ice Bucket Challenge. So I'm here to celebrate and honor these terrific people who have fought so hard to bring recognition and knowledge about the ALS. So before I step down from this white thing in the middle here, I want to close by thanking Pedro Martinez. Where is he? Oh, he's over there shaking hands. I want to thank him. Please join me in thanking Pedro Martinez. I want to also thank former Red Sox infield Lou Merloni. I want to acknowledge our city manager, Louis DiPasquale, for being here. Rich Rossi, who's our former city manager that's being here, and Lisa Peterson. I think I saw Anthony Galluccio somewhere in the crowd. And Steve Buckley, where are you? Thanks so much for keeping this going. We owe a debt of gratitude to you. Everybody, have a great time. I won't say play ball, okay?
Thank you, Mayor Simmons. And now to present the 2017 Greg Montalbano Award is Ben Weiss from the Old-Time Baseball Game. Ben?
Thank you, Glenn. I'm going to invite Greg's family, sister Kristen and her husband Matt, and their son Gregory, and his parents Sharon and Andy out to join me. This is the 8th time we've given this award out, and we're almost about to field the starting 9. So quite the all-star team we have here, but as normal, we always try and identify the right people who share the same spirit, competitiveness, and good nature that Greg did when he was here. And this year's recipient from Brown University, Matt Nuzzo. Probably want to give these guys a hug first. So you just want to hand that to me. Smile for a quick photo.
I just want to thank Ben and Steve for the tremendous gesture and just putting on this event. I've played in this event 10, 15 years ago, so this is actually my first time being an actual old-timer playing in the game. But it's amazing to see it come full circle and be the older guys and see all this young talent here. And I've never got the pleasure of meeting Greg, but I read about him and what he was all about and how he was a local kid. And I mean, I'm honored to be presented this. And you know, his spirit's here, and you know, well, hopefully I can represent it well. But thank you for the award. Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
You've noticed we're on the flight path from Logan Airport. It's the first year this has happened to us. To present the Bill Noveline Award, please welcome once again Andrew Noveline.
Okay, back in '94 when this game started, it was supposed to be a one-shot deal, but then Buckley got a call from my esteemed colleague from Abbott Financial Management and Dad, and he said, hey, listen, I'll put up some money and let's do it again. And that started in '95 and then '96, and now here we are 24 years later. So every year now we recognize someone who has gone above and beyond as volunteers. We've had so many over the years. We like to recognize one person. So I'm going to introduce Bill Noveline now to introduce that person.
Thanks, Andrew, very much. Last year we gave the award to 3 men who, without them, there'd been no old-time baseball game. What makes a great game is great organization and great discipline. We have the best disciplined umpire there is, and he's getting the award tonight. Can you imagine an umpire paying to umpire? Roger Morrison is one of a kind, a gentleman, a great umpire, and a great man. Thank you. There you go, Roger. Thank you. Oh, quickie. Quick. One more. We got it. All right.
I just want to say thank you, Steve Buckley. I've been doing this 21 years. As a kid growing up in Teal Square in Somerville, now live in Burlington. And for the last 4 or 5 years, Dave Streska has assembled Scott Cassidy and Brendan McCarthy, and we've been together for the last 4 or 5 years. Cambridge is very fortunate. Steve Buckley is a very fortunate guy in having Cambridge support him for all of these years. Steve, you've been good to Cambridge. Cambridge's been good to you. Thank you.
And now to explain the main reason we're all here tonight, it's my pleasure to turn the program over to a familiar face and a familiar voice. Please welcome the pride of Lewiston, Maine, Nesson's sports host, Tom Caron.
Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? How about a big hand, first of all, for Steve Buckley and the tireless work that he and the committee put together to bring this game to Cambridge every year. And give yourselves a hand. Steve was telling me earlier, it's the biggest crowd to ever come together for the old-time baseball game. And that doesn't include the 500 players who will be taking part in the game tonight. Seriously, though, this is an impressive lineup. A Hall of Famer, Pedro Martinez, pitching here tonight. How about that? And you may not realize it, but these guys wearing the uniforms, primarily college players, NCAA players, terrific talent, rosters filled with talent up and down the lineup, and Lou Merloni and Adam Pellerin from WEEI in Nesson. So it's great to have them here as well. Want to thank everybody who's come together for such a great cause, not just to see the game tonight, but to do some real good work. We'll talk about ALS TDI in a couple of moments. I want to take a moment and talk about one of the best people I have ever had the honor to work with. John Martin, for 19 years, was a photographer at Nesson and had the difficult task of making me and the other people on Nesson look good. That was not an easy job. And in fact, photography is not an easy job. It's a tireless, thankless job, schlepping gear to remote sites around New England and doing his best to capture stories. I always said there's no one better in a foxhole than John Martin, and tonight we're getting in the foxhole with him because John Martin, as you've heard by now, was diagnosed with ALS, and yet his spirit is undiminished. He's fighting it like he fought every challenge that came his way while making television and producing award-winning television. He's been on the sidelines for some of the greatest sports moments in New England history, whether it was St. Louis in '04 where the Red Sox finally won the World Series, Vancouver in 2011 when the Bruins finished the comeback and won Game 7, and tonight here at the Oldtime baseball game watching these guys get back to the very roots of this beautiful game. So tonight, we are on the sidelines with John here in spirit, helping him and his family out. Please give John and the entire Martin family a round of applause here. And I asked John if there's anything I could say for him to you tonight, and he had 2 words. They're the most obvious ones. Thank you. On behalf of all of us, on behalf of the Martin family, thank you for coming here tonight and making this such a memorable night for the family and for all of us here as we get ready to watch some baseball. I also want to introduce the other beneficiary of this event here tonight because we are here to raise money for a couple of great causes. I want to welcome from the ALS Therapy Development Institute of Cambridge, Carol Hamilton.
Thank you. All of us at the ALS Therapy Development Institute could not be prouder or happier than to be here this evening to honor John Martin and the game of baseball. This is the second time that we have been part of this event. Thank you, Steve Buckley. Thank you, Abbott Financial Management. We were here in 2014 to honor the great Pete Frates, as all of you dumped ice buckets on your head. Thank you for doing that, by the way. It made a really big difference. We're using those funds. We're working our butts off to help John. It's been a long history between baseball and ALS. It was 1939, 78 years ago, that Lou Gehrig stood on a mound like this, announcing his retirement from the game for a disease that now bears his name. So thank you, everybody, for joining us in changing the relationship of the future of baseball and ALS. I bet a lot of you didn't know that the world's largest ALS independent research center is just down the street in Cambridge. Thank you, Mayor. We are there. We have 30 full-time scientists employing cutting-edge technology to develop treatments for people like John and Pete and so many others as quickly as possible. We invite you to join us in the lab. In the meantime, if you see people wearing shirts like this that look a hell of a lot smarter than I look, they just might be the scientists who are trying to develop those treatments. Say hello, join us in Cambridge. Pedro Martinez, thank you for helping us. John and the Martins, to you.
Thank you, Carol. Got a couple other people we're going to hear from, but first we're going to have a special moment. If you ever go to Fenway, you know there's usually more than one ceremonial first pitch. So this is one of 2 we have tonight. I want to welcome Jordan Leandre up to the mound. Where is he? Is Jordan here? Can we have a big hand for Jordan? Jordan's playing in the Oldtime baseball game for the second time, and you may know is one of the great success stories from the Jimmy Fund Clinic and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. 10 years ago, ran around the bases as the 1967 team cheered on. Last night, the 1967 team was at Fenway. The perfect night for Jordan to come back and throw out a first pitch that has now become a thing of beauty that almost broke the internet overnight. If you haven't seen it, Google first pitch hits cameraman in groin, and you will see it. Now that cameraman was Tony Capobianco from the Eagle Tribune. He was defenseless last night. Tonight he's got a glove. Jordan, for the second consecutive night, throw a pitch to Tony Capobianco. Tony, too bad you couldn't have gotten out of the way last night. One more time. There it is. Kind of interesting, he threw 2 balls tonight. Thank you, Jordan. You hadn't heard that one in like 5 minutes. We talked about John Martin and what he did for us at Nesson, but John Martin has also touched a lot of lives as a coach in South End Little League for 30 years. 30 years of coaching Little League baseball is no small feat. And you don't realize how many lives you touch until you realize how many of those Little Leaguers have gone on to share some of the values that John instilled. And coaching with him along the way was Owen Carlson, who's going to come up and say a couple of words. So from the South End Little League, please welcome Owen Carlson.
Thank you very much. I have some angels in the outfield. Stay there for a second. Don't come out yet. I'm going to tell a brief story. I need to be brief. 30 years ago, and if I put my thumb down, I want everyone to boo, if you could. 30 years ago, I read an article with John Martin in the South End News that there was no baseball in the South End, Roxbury, or Dorchester sections of Boston. John in his tie-dye Grateful Dead t-shirt, me with my Wang Chung outfit on, decided to go down as 20 and 20-year-old bike messengers and see what we could do to coach a team. Now you can cheer. And like he just mentioned, he's coached that same team for 30 years. A lot of them are out there. John has touched countless lives. He has made a huge difference and made a lot of lives a lot better. Anyone who's worked with him, any friends or family that are here, he's made your life better. He's made my life incredibly great. And I owe him very much, and I'm glad we're here to share this day and make this day for him a little more special. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, taking care of each other. John's taking great care of everyone around him. And these angels are going to take care of him right now. Let's go, angels. Come on out. Hustle. Let's go. Run. Come on, we're on the clock. Guys, if you could cheer, maybe they'll go faster, please. So these are the players from South End Baseball, and we're presenting a check in honor of John Martin and ALS TDI. Let's hear it for the Angels. And on a personal note, John, I love you very much. Thank you.
Let's hear it again, guys, for the Angels in the infield now, and that $10,000 donation. Well done, guys. Thank you. Couple last people I want to thank. I want to obviously thank everybody at Nesson. Sean McGrail, President and CEO of Nesson, here tonight. We've got about 20 volunteers from Nesson here taking part, just reminding all of us at Nesson how much John means to all of us and how many lives he touched over at the workplace. And of course the Boston Red Sox, who vowed when this ownership group came in to be a cornerstone in the community and use their platform to help so many great causes. Over the last 2 days, the Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon was held at Fenway Park. You may have heard it on the radio, seen on TV. Nearly $4 million raised over those last 2 days in the fight against cancer. More than $46 million now raised in the 16 years of the telethon. A day later, we're back at it, helping in the fight against ALS. please welcome to the mound here to talk about that, the chairman of the Boston Red Sox, Tom Warner.
Thank you, Tom. The Red Sox are so honored to be here tonight. This is a fantastic crowd. We're here for a couple of reasons. We're here, first of all, to honor John and his wife, Adrian. John's been over to my house. He was cameraman for the 2004 campaign that we had, and he's been a great leader at Nesson for 19 years, a great cameraman, and we're here. We're so appreciative of John's work, and he's part of our family. So thank you, John and Adrian, and we're delighted to be here. We also want to acknowledge John and Nancy Frades. John, where are you? John, as you know, is also part of our family, and we all know the battle that his son Pete has been facing with ALS, and we just want to thank John and Nancy for being here. I want to have a shout out to Sam Kennedy, my partner at the Red Sox, Sam. But actually, the reason I'm here is that on September 1st, we have call-ups. So we're here, Sam and I, to scout Pedro Martinez. So we're looking forward to September 1st, and I know Pedro's in the cage getting ready, and we're looking forward to a great baseball game. Thank you all for coming, and we're so happy to be here.
Thank you, Tom. All right, now we are going to get the other official ceremonial first pitch underway. We loose? Kaya, ready? Please welcome John Martin's daughters, Kaya and Gabby, out to the mound here. Owen Carlson, Adam Pellerin, you're going to go behind plate and catch the ceremonial first pitches. You have the balls? And then please stay on the field and stay where you are for the national anthem right after this. Gabby needs a ball. They got some coaching from Pedro, I'm told, earlier today. Yes, well done. So, pitcher would have chased that one for a strike. Jordan, you'll be happy to know I asked John if he gave him any coaching. He showed them the video and said, don't do that. That's the truth. That is the truth. How about a big hand for Kaya and Gabby? Terrific job with the first pitch tonight. One last note. I want to welcome back a member of the esteemed class of Harvard 1971, along with Tom Warner, Glenn Kuchar.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the colors for our national anthem are Brian Morgan, Jose Funes, Tim Campion, Andrew Rokes, and Ed Rokes of the Framingham Fire Department Honor Guard. And here to perform our national anthem is Jonathan Richardson, who earlier this year received a master's degree in musicology from the New England Conservatory. Ladies and gentlemen, John Richardson and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the words everyone's been waiting to hear.
Play ball!